Donald Trump was able to say to voters, those are her priorities. And I think he ran a very smart campaign in a way, because we were just mentioning about abortion, which the Democratic Party perhaps overestimated the pull of that for particularly women to the ballot box. But Donald Trump was able to almost turn political vulnerabilities into his advantage. On abortion, he was thinking about supporting a national abortion ban. His advisors said this is not going to go down particularly well, particularly in those swing states.
Well, in the end, that's all she had, really. If the economy is, if the economy is being portrayed as the cost of living, nothing else.
Well, it wasn't all she had. I mean, Donald Trump's solution to the economy is to give, rich people more tax cuts, and hope that the value of tax cuts trickle back down to working class people. He really didn't have a plan for working class people and their pocketbooks.
Well,
he convinced them they did.
We can talk for hours about whether either Donald Trump's economic plan or Kamala Harris's economic plan.
The truth is that he made them feel better about how.
But isn't that what he does? Isn't that what he?
That is his
even
genius.
in 16.
It's his genius.
What did he do? What did he deliver for the white, young, disenfranchised, disaffected white working class in those 4 years? That he was talking about steelworks and regeneration but they believed him, and they like him because they think he's their
team's mistake when they focused on an anti-Donald, and this was I lay this at Joe Biden and his team's feet. They started this, that the way to win is to demonize and characterize Donald Trump almost as a buffoonish, evil figure. And instead, they had a lot of economic messages around Donald Trump that they could have used, and they didn't.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting how the media decides how to, deal with Donald Trump in the next 4 years, because Donald Trump has won a massive victory. He's won the popular vote, and there's a lot of people who are going to be depending on Donald Trump now to deliver, what he's promised.
And he's got way more control over government now than he had 8 years ago. He's currently sitting in Mar-a-Lago deciding who's going to take, the key roles in his cabinet. People like RFK Jr., he's deciding who's going to be his chief of staff, which is a really key role. These are things that, he's a slightly superstitious man, so he didn't want to do that before the election, but now is the time when it really counts, when people around him are jockeying for positions, and he's deciding what this country is going to look like.
But it may be with more power that he does deliver more, that he can get stuff done. Do you think that's possible? There'll be a lot of people hoping that's what's going to happen.
Well, I don't think that's going to end up being the Republican Congress's agenda. But, importantly, I think for our viewers, too, when I'm in London, people are nervous about what his foreign policy is going to be, right? They wonder about whether he's going to feel stable enough to be the leader of the United States. And, that's going to be the thing that people will pay attention to. Who does he put in these in as Secretary of State, as his national security advisor? What policies does he end up changing? And my guess is that for a while it's not going to feel so upended and crazy, and we'll see.
And
what's happening to Washington? I mean, this is November. It's like, what is it? I'm starting to get
It's global warming, Mark.
It's global warming,
global
is it?
warming.
No, well, it's beautiful. I mean, whatever we can say, it is beautiful. Let's just have a look at the scene. It is 1 minute past 4, and Joe Biden should be speaking by now, but no sign of him, as is so often with these things. Kamala Harris yesterday, Joe Biden today, Donald Trump quite often at his various rallies and so forth. Everything just slips and gets rather late. I was quite interested in why Kamala Harris didn't decide to concede earlier. I thought it would happen where we were sitting, on air at sort of 4 o'clock in the morning, London time or something. But we were told yesterday that it was because she hadn't written a speech, a concession speech. She had written a speech that was going to be a sort of holding speech because Pennsylvania is not going to return for ages and da-da-da. I said, I don't. Do you believe that? I said, why you wouldn't write a concession speech before an election?
I think they didn't have a concession speech.
Really?
I think they had some ideas of what she wanted to say, but they didn't have a speech.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if she had have had a concession speech, she would have come and delivered it on the night. She had, 10,000, 20,000 people at Howard University. I think if she was ready for that moment, she would have come and said something there and then, or at least said, let's wait and see how the blue wall states come back overnight. But they went to ground. There was radio silence from the Harris campaign, certainly overnight. And like Mark was saying, they had prepared a placeholder speech because they didn't expect this election to be wrapped up so quickly. I actually thought it was a good speech. I don't know whether you think so as well, Hilary. I thought it was, gracious, but it also struck this sort of optimistic tone, this idea of, she repeated that mantra that, she said throughout the campaign, which is when we fight, we win. There was a lot of reassurance for the young people in the crowd and presumably the young people watching that speech at home, and sort of a message of resilience, really. And I'm not sure where her political career goes next, but I didn't get the sense that she's going to disappear.
Well, I thought it was very